everything you did push and play every day? And most people say no. You know, Dallas Carter, who you all know Dallas is, he's been on a lot of the infomercials, and, you know, Dallas, he lost 180 pounds in Hawaii. But anyway, first time I sat down with him, he said, well, I just met him and told me the story. He said, well, I lost 180 pounds in P90X, and I asked him a question, because we were talking about building this business. I said, have you ever built your business with the same intensity for 90 days? He goes, no. See, I think for some of us, if we learn to push play every day, because how many of you doing P90X felt like it every day? How many of you were sore the next day and said, no way I'm going to do this, and you did it? How many of you were maybe actually physically ill and you did it anyway because you made the commitment that you were going to finish it in that 90-day period? But for a lot of us, we've never built our business with that same kind of intensity. A guy asked me the other day, he said, how long will it take me to build a six-figure income in Beachbody? I said, 90 days. He said, you're telling me at the end of 90 days I'll be making six figures? I said, no, at the end of 90 days you can have the foundation of a six-figure income. If you consistently push play every day. And you do the productive things, not just the active things. Okay? Productive means doing the things that are going to grow your business, not just activities. Team calls are great. They're important to be on. They don't build your business. They build you, but they're not putting new people in your group. What puts new people in your group is the creative side of the business, which is what? That's showing the business to new people and finding new people and meeting new people. Right? And now building our Beachbody Challenge teams, because that's going to put new people in front of your team, which will eventually get in your business. So that's the creative side. So that's what we need to be doing. So if you look at a 90-day period, right now if you took November 1st and you said for the next 90 days I'm going to push play every day. And I'm going to listen to the CD that Craig did on how to start a new coach effectively. I'm going to start one of my coaches that way. I'm going to listen to one on how to do a follow-up, and I'm going to do a follow-up like that. And so if you take that information and you make it work every day for 90 days, trust me when I tell you your business will be on an unbelievable growth period. Right? It will just be spiking this way. And so again, it's that intensity and doing it every single day. So when you do that, you have a right to have patience. You say, I'm doing everything I can do. I just know it's going to be there. And you know what? It will be. But if you're not doing that, you won't have patience because you'll be frustrated all the time. Because you know you're not doing what you need to be doing, and so therefore you're not patient. You're impatient with yourself first and your business second. You know, sometimes we get so impatient with our coaches because they won't do what they're supposed to be doing, but yet we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And again, I think I said it in the first session we had, if you don't change pins every 90 days, you're not being an example to your group. Because they're watching you. They're looking at you. You know, it's like, how many of you taught your kids to ride a bike? Right? Okay, so you remember that, and I use that example in one of my CDs, but I remember my son, my oldest son now, he's 27, but I remember looking up at me with these blue eyes. He had this gorgeous little kid, and I think he was 5 years old. And he looks up at me, and I said, well, we're going to take your training wheels off now, and you're going to ride two-wheeler. He was 4 years old, or maybe 5. And he looks up at me with these eyes, and he goes, do you think I can do it, Dad? See, he didn't believe he could ride the bike. He believed in me. So when he sat there and looked up at my eyes, he said, Dad, do you think I can do this? I said, of course you can. Okay, Dad. Me. He's looking at the bike going, I'll fall over. I can't ride the bike. Okay, Dad. He believed in me. You know what your coaches are saying to you? Beachbody, I can't build this. They're not saying that, but they're mine. Nobody's built this. Like my friends say it doesn't work. Nobody builds a business. Like, nobody's successful in this. It's a pyramid. It's this, it's that. And they look up at you with these eyes and they say, you believe I can do it? You go, yeah. Okay. Right? It's you that they believe in. And when you understand that, it puts responsibility on you. But that's good. Because as leaders, that's what we want. You know, leaders, we want to be the impact person, right? We want to be the one up front. We want to be the one leading. So my son just looked up at me, you know, put him on the bike, and of course, when you don't grab him and just heave him down the street and say, good luck, ride. You know, which is like what some of us do with our coaches, unfortunately. The new ones, we just get started. Hey, good luck. They're crashing and burning. Instead of, what do? You run alongside, you hold their waist, they pedal a little, you let go. They're doing this, Dad, grab them again. Pretty soon you go, and they take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever. Now they're just riding, right, on their own. They look up, and you're not even around them. They're down the road. They don't come back for 18 years. Well, they need money, right? Then they show up. But anyway, so that's how we start coaches, you know. So that's a big part of it is believing in you. And again, it's responsible. That's a lot of responsibility. It is. But see, one of the things I learned in my business, and I want to pass on to you guys, is you're never going to make anybody successful in your business. So never take credit for someone else's success. But never take credit for their failure. Because neither one wanted it. Neither one wanted you. No one can say I failed in Beachbody because of my coach. Ever. Right? They might not have gotten the exact help they wanted. But you know what? When you have the DNA, you'll find a way. And no matter what, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to learn it. Some of the stories I hear with coaches around the country, well, you look at the founders. You know, Derek was in the beginning. I mean, these guys had no Shakeology. They had videos. That was it. They had no system. There was no game plan. They had no way to do anything. And sometimes people say, well, they had an advantage because they were the first ones picked. Are you kidding me? What kind of advantage is that? They didn't know what they were doing. Had no. It's easier to build right now than it ever was for them. And it's like we've taken this freeway and we put a Lamborghini on it with no speed limit and get there as fast as you want. Before it was like you couldn't even find the road, right? And so these kind of groundbreakers, those guys that were the ones that trudged the thing in the beginning and got it to where it is today, where it's so simple. It's a simple business. It's a system business. If you become good at teaching it and befriend people, you'll grow a big business. So nobody can ever blame you for failure. But also, when someone succeeds, they can say, thank you so much for the help. You were a great part of my life. I get that, but you didn't make them successful. They chose to be, right? And I like that in the business because I don't want responsibility for either one, and neither do you. Although, your recognition for helping would be kind of cool. It sounds good, feels good. But wait till they blame you for failing. That doesn't feel as good. It's a little different. Okay? But so you can have patience as long as you're engaging with your coaches and working at a level with them where, you create that strong relationship. That one where that no matter what, when the dust settles, they're there. And what gives them that is the time with you on the phone. And not just sending emails, not just sending texts, but literally, one of the things I'm working with some of the coaches I've been mentoring is, they're working down their business. You can't just personally sponsor someone and that's all you work with. You have to get underneath them. Find out the coaches that want it underneath them. Find out who else wants to build the business and make yourself available to them. You kind of water this business. If you want to grow, see, it's like I raised roses for a long time. I love roses. And if you want beautiful blossoms in the spring, you dig out the roots and you water at the deepest level of the rose. And you feed at the deepest level. And when spring comes, you have the greatest blossom. You don't throw feed on the top of the bush. You don't spray the top of the bush. Okay, you dig out, you go to the deepest roots, and you deep water, and the blossoms come. In our business, we need to be down in our business, finding out who wants it, and feeding at the deepest level. And building those relationships and watering at the deepest level. Instead of always living at the top of our business. Sometimes I ask coaches, who's your first sponsor? Oh, it's Joe. What are his coaches like? I don't know. Well, you know any of them? Not really. What is that about? And if you're sitting here today and your coach, upline, is willing to work with your downline, you better be fired up. Don't ever take that like, I don't want him in my group. I mean, are you crazy? I mean, I would love to have my upline go down and work with some of my key people downline because those are people I don't have to work with as much. So don't ever balk at that. You should warrant that. Gosh, yeah, you want to help my people? Call them up. Here's their number. Get involved with them. That's awesome. Right? Help grow my group. So we have to water at the deepest level as we build the business and build a relationship. Okay, next point. No to distracting people. Leadership is not only saying yes, it's saying no. All leaders just say yes. We're yes people. We'll do it. Yeah. You need somebody to do it? I'll do it. You need to learn to say no. Okay, it's no to distracting people and no to distractions. If you've already made a decision in the business when you're going to be a diamond, then things that come up between now and then that are additives to your life, there's not a decision you don't have to think about it. You say no because you've already made the decision of what you need to do. It's not emotional. It's not a decision I have to think about. And those of us that are leaders, we get asked all the time, can you teach us Bible study? Can you do this men's group? Can you do this? Can you do that? And those things were all great. Those are things I always wanted to do, but I couldn't afford to do them because I was broke. So I didn't. But when somebody asked me if I could do it, I didn't have to say, well, I'll go home and pray about it. I said, no, I can't. It was a no immediately, no emotion, because I know what the goal was that I had to do to get financially independent and get out of debt, so my family didn't have to live in debt. So it wasn't something I had to think about. So for some of you need to learn to say no to distractions. And most of us can do one or two things really good, but most of us have 10 or 15 we're doing, right? So we need to back those off and learn to say no. No to distract and no to people. I mean, when I got involved in my business, a lot of my friends got not started in the beginning, but got started later. And they were my buddies. And we started building the business together. They go, we're going to lay on the beaches of Hawaii. We're going to travel to Australia. We all had these dreams. We'd get together and we'd do meetings. And you know what? A bunch of them never did it. They never finished. You know, they never did it. They never built it. And I just kept building it and moving on and going to these, traveling to these, Amway would put on a big event in Africa. We'd go to this event in Africa, and none of my friends got to go. A couple of them did, but most of them didn't. They started resenting me. It's like, gosh, you don't even think about us anymore. You don't care about us anymore. We were good friends at one time. You go, what? Wait a minute. We were all going here. You all stayed here, and you're mad at me for going here? There's something wrong with that. That's not right. You were all supposed to go with me. But it's just human nature. So you have people that you're going to move away from in the business. But one of the things I learned about friendships, sometimes they're seasonal. And they work. You look back at the friends you had in high school, in college you had different friends. And you had friends in college, and some of them you still see. But then when you got married and had family, you had family. It was a different group of friends. Now, were they all great? Yeah, for that time in high school, they were the perfect people. They were seasonal. But we mourn these losses of friendships, especially if we decide to do greater things with our lives and move forward. And we're not judging those people, but at the same time, we're not staying there either. And I gave them all the same opportunity to run with me and to do the things that we had done, right? And the ones that chose to did, and the ones that didn't. But I didn't sit and mourn it. I realized that was a seasonal friendship. And I'm okay with that. And some of you need to be okay with it. Because, so much of the time it forces us to try to explain our dream to people. Sometimes it bothers me, us as coaches, because sometimes we'll share our business with someone and then they'll go, what are you doing that for? And you start saying, well, you got to understand, and we try so hard to convince them about our dream. Well, I just always wanted to do this. And we're trying to take non-DNA people, and we're trying to explain our DNA to them. They don't get it. They do not get it. They don't understand. Why don't you just be happy with what you got? You got a good job. You got a roof over your head. Well, that's not me. That's not DNA. That's not who I am. That's not who I'll ever be. And so, quit taking your dream and trying to explain it to everybody. It's yours. God gave it to you, embedded it in your heart. It's yours to go after. You don't need the world to understand it. I guarantee you the most influential people in America, the world never understood them. They never understood him. Martin Luther King, I got a dream. He's going, are you kidding me, dude? You know what kind of journey this is going to be? It's my DNA. I got a dream. I got to finish it, right? I'm going after it, right? Never cared if anybody understood it. So the great people that have been influences, I believe, in America, especially, they're those kind of people. Well, some of you are those kind of people. Maybe not that level, but you are. And so quit trying to explain it to people. Quit trying to get everybody to buy in on your dream. Because it's not really important. It really isn't. Because you know what? You're going to do it anyway. And if they're going to run with you, great. If they've been chosen to do that, that's awesome. If they haven't, that's okay. Just to tell you that, because I know some of you struggle with that. Family members, they just don't get it. Gosh, I just want them to be on Shakeology. You're just asking so much, right? Can you just drink this product? Nope, then you can't do that. Okay? You get your aunt's 400 pounds. She's going, not for me. And you're going, okay. You know what I'm saying? Because it costs too much. I said, have you priced a funeral lately? Not cheap. Okay? But seriously. But we're trying to convince non-DNA people to be DNA people. They're not going to be. They don't look at life the same. They don't look at the world the same. There's the right people and the wrong people. The right people see your business because it fits into the dream and the goal and the purpose of their life. The wrong people stay where they are. And they stay status quo. And they live their life that way. And that's okay. Accept it. Understand it. Our job is to go to find 8 to 10 DNAers. And when you do, they blow you up because they're just so awesome to hang out. And they got great dreams. But quit trying to explain yours to people because it's not really necessary to do. Okay, stand for something. Point 1. Are you making your mark? We talked a little bit about that earlier. What do you right now in your life? If you could write your epitaph of your life. If I said to Michael Schwarting, write down what you want me to read about you if something happened to you in your life, and I was a speaker at your funeral, what do you want me to read? What should that say about your life? That's what I'm talking about. What do you want it to say? Not what it would say now, but what do you want it to say? What do you want someone to stand up there and speak about you and who you are and your character and your integrity and your life influence? What do you want that to say? I believe every one of us should write that. And then we live up to it and we become that. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about, leaving your mark. Am I significant? It's crazy how this business gets, as Bob Buford's in his book, Halftime. First half of our life, we try to be successful. Second half, we try to be significant. I'm 60 years old. People 60 years old go, what have I done? I don't know if I got 10 years left, 15, 5, I don't know. But if I look back, what have I done? It's made a difference. People are 55, 60, 70, 75, 80-year-old people. They don't talk about money that much anymore. They talk about, what have I done? It's like the old man planting the little tree who's 90 years old, and the little boy goes, why are you planting it? You'll never see it grow. He goes, it's not for me. And I think that's our life, right? That's our lives. So when you think in terms of that, and you think about, what's my mark? What am I doing? For a lot of you still aren't halftime. Okay? But you know what's great about our business? It's the only business I've ever seen, only business, where you can become significant and successful simultaneously. If you want to make more money, go be more significant. Want to break a diamond, go be significant in one more person's life. You find 15 of them, you have a large check. It's a big business. So go find one more person to be significant and leaving your mark. Draw a line, quit watching success go on around you. Some of you in this room right here, you should be much further along in business. But you know what? I don't really care. I'm standing here in Washington, D.C. It's 1:20 on this, what is today, November 5th? On November 5th, and I'm telling you right now, I don't really care what you did yesterday. I don't really care. I don't care what you did last month. Some of you worked hard, some of you did great. But I sure as heck care about what you're going to do. And every one of you get a free slate with me. And some of you need this, I'm going to give it to you. I give you permission to be great. I'm giving you permission to go out and do something unparalleled with your life. Something that you almost never thought you could do. I'm giving you permission to do that because some of us need that. Because you know what? There were people in our lives that never gave us permission. All they told you was you're a loser. You're never going to be anything. My mom used to say to me, don't even think about college. I don't care what grades you get. We come from a bad home. Nobody expects you to do anymore. Well, that pisses me off. I'm just being honest with you. I don't want people in my life that don't expect me to do it. And you don't want that with your kids. You don't want it with each other if you're married. You don't want it for yourself. Have expectations. Have big expectations. But you know what? I don't care. Today we're drawing a line. But for some of us, it's time to get on the field and in the game. Because some of you in this audience right here, you go to Summit last year and you watch all the people go across stage. You watch a humanitarian award. You watch a leadership award. You watch Josh Spencer get the Coach of the Year award. And you know what? I don't know about you, but when I used to go to Amway events and those guys would be up there, I'd be happy for them, but only so happy. Because you ever find you can only get so happy about someone else's success? No, seriously. I'm that kind of guy. I'm really going, if I'm you in the audience, I'm going, that's so good for Robert Hutchman. I'm just so happy for him. And God bless you, brother. Glad you're doing so great. What about me? Right? I'm sitting there like, I'm biting that fork in half. Like, what's wrong with me? Right? So, you look at these people, and their success is great, but what about you? Because some of you, I hope you left Summit just mad. Because I hope you were there the year before, and you set goals, and if you didn't reach them, I hope you left there mad. And said, what am I doing? I need to be the influencer. Sarah and I were talking about this at lunch. Your story needs to be told. Whatever you went through in your life is purposeless unless you overcome it and share it. And I, sitting in an audience, don't need to go through much more because I'm going to live in you. And I'm going to go through what you went through, and you had a victory, so I now believe I can. That gives purpose to my life. As a young child, my discipline was standing up against a wall, my father throwing rocks at me. Big rocks, just brutalizing me with rocks. Okay, all of that, I'm sitting there as a young kid going, crying, what is this about? And now I'm a 60-year-old man saying there was purpose in that for my life. You know why? Because when I share my story, some of you go, that's where I was. I've been there. I know what that feels like. I've had that abuse. I've had those people discouraging me. I've had that. And you know what, Craig? Maybe since you did it, I can do it. But if I didn't have that to share and overcoming and created that in the lives of the people I share with, then it was wasted. It was just nothing but pain. There was no purpose in it. And all of you, if we had you tell your stories right now, some of you have unbelievable stories of your lives and what you've done and where you've come from. And you know what? Until you can stand somewhere and share it with somebody and have victory over it because you know I'm not there anymore, then it becomes nothing but pain and stays there. So some of you need to make a decision. That's it. No, sure, I'm going to deal with that. Sure, it's going to be part of my life, like I said earlier today, but I'm not going to stay there anymore. I saw a thing on TV once. Maybe some of you saw it. It was an interview with twins, two men. And they interviewed them both. One was extremely successful, humanitarian, done all these things for mankind, incredible human being. And his twin brother was in prison. And they interviewed them both. And they said to the one, the humanitarian, the very multi-millionaire, very successful man, why did you do what you did? He said, oh my God, my father deserted me as a child. My mother was an alcoholic. I was abused as a child. He said, I was done nothing but told I could never be anything in my life. What choice did I have? And they interviewed the guy in prison. You know what he said? My mother was an alcoholic. My father left us as a young child. I was abused as a child. What choice did I have? Same exact terminology coming out of two men. One said, because of this, I'm this. The other one said, because of this, I'm here. See, we all make those choices. We all make those choices in our lives when it talks about, because that's what makes you a leader. Like Kobe Bryant took a jersey, number 24 jersey, and wrote on it, be epic, and sent it to Michael Vick. And I just thought it was so profound. I read it in the LA Times. He just said two words, be epic. And you know what he's saying to Michael Vick? I don't care what you did. You've overcome it. You went to prison. You've overcome this. You've done what you had to do. You paid the price. Now be epic. Live your life this way. Make a difference. I thought, how profound is that? Every one of you should need to write on a piece of paper, be epic, and put it on the dashboard of your car. Because that's the way we need to live our lives. And you all have the potential and the ability to do that. To be an impact player. Be the person that when the game's on the line, there's 2 seconds left, and they're drawing up the chalkboard, that you're the one they're going to give the ball to. 9th inning, time run on third, you want to be up to that. Because you want to be that impact person. Be that in your uplines, downline. Be that person in this group. Be the person that's having the strongest influence. Okay, the last part I'm going to talk about this, then I'm going to jump to the next thing we're going to talk about. But I want to talk about your story. Okay, one of the things, we all have a story, right? We all need to learn to tell our story. And I want to talk a few minutes about that. There's a book called Tell to Win. And I want you all to write this down. I really want you all to read it. If you're readers at all, Tell to T-O Win W-I-N. It's by Peter, last name G-U-B-E-R, Guber. And it's a book about how to tell your story. About how powerful stories are to change lives. But most of us in Beachbody, we get in and we tell stories of our lives, but we just kind of start, we say, well, I was kind of overweight, and I had all this weight on, I lost 100 pounds, and now, nobody gets, it's like I was talking to Sarah, I said, if you tell me you were 100 pounds overweight, sitting on a couch, when you saw Beachbody, my question is, how did you get there? That's your story. It's not just if I'm in an audience or if I'm watching a video on YouTube or whatever you want to post, I want to know how you got there. That's your story. Because people don't just end up 100 pounds overweight sitting on a couch. There's pain and depression and things happen in their lives and struggle gets them to that point. I want to know that even when you've lost 100 pounds, you still see yourself 100 pounds fatter. We don't lose that in our minds. Tommy Migrant was sitting in a meeting I did in Atlanta, and I asked Tommy, I said, Tommy, let me ask you a question. You all know Tommy Migrant, most of you was on the video here. He's lost a ton of weight. You saw his before and afters. Incredible shape. He's a coach, go-getter kind of guy. I said to him, I go, Tommy, let me ask you a question. Every day you look in the mirror, what do you see? He goes, I see a fat guy. Because as much weight as he's lost, here he still sees himself as fat. Because he has to overcome all the stuff that got him to where he was. Right? We don't just get over those things. I always say, if people are overweight, it's not what they're eating, it's what's eating them. And that's a journey people get on. So when we tell our stories, we've got to let people into the story. And I don't mean you have to sit there and bury your soul, but I want to know why you got there. Because if I'm sitting in the audience, that's what's going to touch me. This book talks a lot about that. It says, stories take realities and through emotional transportation, leverage them into a much larger truth than facts alone can give. People say to you, tell me about Beachbody. Tell me about your Beachbody story. You know what we do? We bombard them with facts. Oh, it's this, and I use this Shakeology, and P90X is unbelievable, and we start beating them over the head, and we give them statistics, and we tell them our mission statement. That's not what they're asking you. What's your story? You have a story. What is it? Is it that someone came into your life and believed in you for the first time? Tell me the story that touches me emotionally. Tell me the story. It's like if somebody says to you, well, I'm sad. Don't just tell me you're sad. Tell me a story that represents you being sad. That'll touch me. Especially if you're like I said, if you guys that do YouTube or you do videos for Facebook to tell your stories, or whether you're asked to by Beachbody or a briefing, and Hallie says, come on up and tell your story for a few minutes. You got to touch me. The formula for a story is feeling. You got something. You give them something to feel, give them knowledge, and give them a takeaway. That's what we need to do when we tell our stories. All of us need to develop our stories. What is the story of your life? What's one that's going to make me go, whoa? I've watched coaches as I started working with Beachbody, and they would do briefings, and I'd watch them. They start talking about facts. All the trend is everybody's fat in America, and they start running off on all these facts and facts and facts. And I watch the people now, and I said, no one's connecting. I talked to Robert about this, and I said, how about this? I'm standing up doing a briefing, and I said, I see a lot of men here in the audience tonight. Let me ask you a question. Have any of you ever been in a place